Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Real Positive Girl podcast with me, Sabrina. This is the show that'll help you become your best self, and today we are talking about how to step out of your comfort zone. So I'm going to help you go from comfort zone to growth zone. But before we jump into that, as always, I want to invite you to come say hi to me on Instagram. I am at Sabrina Joy Perozzo. I would love to hear from you. I would love to hear if you have any questions, comments, concerns, prayer requests, feedback, topic suggestions, or just want to say hey and hi, hello to me. I'd love to get to know you and become friends online. If you would prefer to send me an email, you are welcome to send that to realpositivegirlpodcast@gmail.com. Either way is totally amazing. I would love to hear from you. Or you're welcome to go to my website, which is sabrinajoy.com. You can sign up for my soon-to-come newsletter, which will come out in March. And you can also send me a note there because there's also a contact me page. So any way you want to get in touch with me, I would love to hear from you. But I do appreciate you listening and being here today. And let's go ahead and jump into our episode. Again, we are talking about how to step out of your comfort zone and go from comfort zone to growth zone. So, as I'm sure you would gather, there have been many times I have stepped out of my comfort zone because I was either forced by someone else. Okay, I'm sure someone else, that's happened to you before. I had to step out of my comfort zone because circumstances called for it. You had to, or else this thing wasn't going to happen and you really wanted this thing to happen. Or I was finally able to muster the courage to do so. And I decided on my own accord, okay, it's time. It is time that we step outside of our comfort zone. And I'm sure that all of us can relate to maybe all of those, maybe a few of those. It just depends. But, recently I took another really big step outside of my comfort zone. I would say that past comfort zones, it'd be in high school auditioning for a musical or, moving to college, right? Deciding that I don't like roommates and moving into my own room in college. Going out with this nice guy that turned out to be my husband, right? A lot of comfort zone things, changing jobs, going after different things that I wanted to accomplish, and just really pushing myself, stepping out of my comfort zone to do this podcast, really put something out there, right? But this comfort zone that I've recently stepped out of, it just feels so uber scary, okay? So what I did is I decided to hire a coach for myself to help me start a business. And if you've been around and listened to a lot of the episodes within the last 6 months, you've heard me talk about how I want to start my own coaching business. I want to be available to help people and create curriculums and videos and have one-on-one calls and in groups and just encourage people and help people to overcome their mindsets and any setbacks that they feel like they're going on in their life, and just help to coach people and help set them up for success to achieve their goals and do all of these different things, right? But I didn't know what to do. There's different small steps that I took along the way, but I finally realized that I needed someone to hold my hand. I finally realized that I have no idea what I need to actually do to create a business. I had an idea. I was swirling around in a tornado of I don't know. I'm unsure. And it's a reason why I was stuck in this comfort zone, because I didn't know what to do, but I also felt really nice to not do anything for a little bit, right? You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I realized I didn't know how to create a business to help people, and it seemed that continuing to sit around hoping that knowledge would finally fall out of the sky and just come to me just wasn't working anymore. It just wasn't, nothing was happening with that, right? And that's been the biggest thing that's happened for me. And so I would encourage you to reflect on the most biggest thing that you've done that would equate to stepping outside of your comfort zone, and just kind of take a moment to ask yourself how you feel about that. How has that changed your life? How has that made you feel? Mine is still new within the last 2 weeks, but still, it's a big deal. I still kind of sometimes have a little bit of anxiety that peaks up about it, but it's under control for the most part. And it feels good. It feels exciting, but still a little anxious. But I would say that, that or any of the other ones I told you that happened growing up, despite how many times I have stepped out of my comfort zone, it can still be scary to do it again and again and again, right? Because it's a continuous kind of not a cycle, it's just a continued progress in doing different things and continuing to move forward in your life. Because the challenges are new, the obstacles are new, the fears are new, right? When we were stepping outside of our comfort zone. So it can sometimes be tough, but we know it's important to keep doing it, right? It is so super important to continue to step outside of that comfort zone and move forward. Because we know if we continue to sit in our little zones of comfort and do nothing new, just sit there chilling, we will accomplish nothing new. Some believe it's better to wait until someone drags them out of their comfort zone. It sounds like someone's coming in to rescue you and be like, okay, I'm here. Let me just drag you out and do all this heavy lifting for you. But it feels like less effort, right? I can't say that I haven't been that person that's like, I'm just going to wait here. Someone will convince me someday to step out of my comfort zone and then I'll be ready. Magically I'll be ready, right? But think about what happens if no one comes, right? Like for me in this business, no one came. I had to rescue myself. I had to figure it out on my own, right? Because no one was coming. And I want you to ask yourself that. If you are prone to just sitting around and waiting for someone else to make the grand gesture or to put the idea in your, to forcibly put that idea on you or to drag you out and kind of try to make you do something. What if that never happens again, right? Or what if it doesn't happen in time? Or what if it doesn't happen when you want it to happen? You know what I mean? Will you just keep waiting until someone rescues you from yourself? Because that's exactly what you are hoping will happen, is that someone will rescue you from yourself. It's just not realistic. And, sometimes we do. And again, it amounts to nothing. Sometimes we just wait. We're like, no, it's cool. I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait on it. I thoroughly encourage you not to wait. I encourage you to pull yourself up by the bootstraps, whatever that means, kind of get ready, muster that courage and do it for yourself because you are totally worth it. And the thing that you want and you dream about and you want to achieve and you desire to have or do or be or whatever is worth it because it's part of you and you are important and what you want matters. And that's important. So again, I want you to think about that. If that's part of your issue of waiting for someone else to come and rescue you, what if that person just never comes again? Or what if that just doesn't happen again, right? So today I did mention that I want to talk about how you can move from your comfort zone all the way to a growth zone, which is fan freaking tabulous, the best place to be. But let's talk about some benefits of stepping outside of our comfort zone before we dive into how to step outside of it. Why is it important? What are the benefits of stepping outside of your comfort zone? So I just have 4 that I want to kind of highlight because I think it's important to know why and then to know how. As you know, that's just generally how we do it here. So the first one is taking risks are opportunities for growth, right? Think of a time that you can recognize that there is some growth in you. Generally there's going to be a risk that you took that attached to it, even if it was crossing the street, you're like, okay, I never crossed the street or I've never been over to whatever business or places across the street. But today I'm going to cross the street because I feel like it's a risk. And you think that crossing the street is a risk because, you might get hurt or, you might not be able to get into wherever you're going or you might feel like people will judge you for wanting to do this thing, whatever it is. I know this is probably not the best example. I'm sorry. Generally, my examples are off the top of my head. But, even if the risk is something as small, though, as crossing the street, it's still a risk to you. The risk, how you identify it as a risk, it totally is up to you and what you feel is a risk. Because what a risk is for you could not be a risk for someone else or vice versa, right? It is all very specific to who you are, how you feel, how your mind works, you know, and what inherently you fear inside in your mind that would equate you doing something to being a risk. But by taking risks, you are definitely like leaning into that opportunity for growth. And it's important for you to realize that risks can be good. Sometimes risks can turn out to be things that don't work out. There's mistakes and failures in the world. And I tell you all the time that mistakes and failures are the best opportunities for you to learn and grow, right? And a lot of times when you take a risk, you can wander into a mistake or a failure, or you can wander straight into growth. A very simple example of taking a risk that might be easier to follow than me talking about walking across the street to somewhere is if you decided to invest money into a stock. You're taking a risk because the stock could plummet and you could lose all your money, right? But if it doesn't, if it stays the same or goes up a little bit or goes up a lot, the amount of money that you invest grows because you get that on top of it. And that's the same with a lot of risks that we have to take in life. So a risk is generally going to be something outside of your comfort zone, obviously. And you have the highest opportunity of growth because it could turn out to be something that you never even imagined, or it could turn out exactly as you imagined, which is still growth because, again, you're stepping outside of your comfort zone and you're allowing yourself to do more, be more, access more, have more, and that feels great because you're achieving goals, right? So that's a benefit. The second benefit I want to highlight is settling in life leaves so much on the table. So much. It leaves so much on the table. Recently, there was an influencer online. Her name is Danielle Wilson. I love her. She's amazing. And she did this whole pep talk on asking us through her stories, how much are we leaving on the table? And I thought it was absolutely fantastic. And immediately after watching that story, I went and did a story of my own on Instagram, really highlighting that and being like, oh my gosh, this really popped me up. This really opened my eyes. This actually motivated me and inspired me and kind of was like a come to Jesus moment of yeah, what are you leaving on the table? And when she said that, and what I mean by that is that are you not maximizing your time? Are you not maximizing the opportunities that you have or could have in life? And for me, in that moment, I took it as okay, am I actually, spending my time during the day wisely? Am I being efficient with my time? And, am I doing my regular job and then being able to efficiently get chores and do other mom, wife stuff, but then also work on my business? And I realized that I wasn't. There's a lot of empty time in there. There's a lot of time that I was kind of wasting because I was literally sitting in procrastination. I was living at the procrastination station. I had taken up residence. And so it really inspired me to be okay, there's things I need to do. And I started doing things and then realizing, okay, I kind of need to create a schedule. And it really just lit a fire in me. And so when you talk about settling, which settling would be just chilling in your little comfort zone, not wanting to step out ever, and, kind of peeking out, but you're no, I'm not going to go out. You're leaving so much opportunity on the table. Your life could be exponentially better, happier, more fulfilling, and so much more fun if you decide to step outside of your comfort zone every once in a while to see what's out there, to see what you could achieve, to see what you could grow into, right? And so it's just so important for you to realize that you don't have to settle in your life. No one does. No matter what, there's always change and growth that you can go through to make your life better. And I just encourage you to do that because why would you settle if you don't have to, right? There's so much opportunity for you, for everyone. The third one is learning to step outside of your comfort zone helps you adapt to change easier. Yes, it does. So if you are able to step outside of your comfort zone, do something that you wouldn't normally do, or do something that makes you feel uncomfortable, something that causes you fear and anxiety, you will be, and the more that you do that, kind of as a habit, you will be able to adapt to change easier because when change comes, it forces you to step outside of your comfort zone, right? Like, you can fight it all you want, but usually if a change is hard enough and necessary enough, you'll have to step out. And the more that you do that on your own, being like, okay, I'm going to try this, I'm going to do this, we're going to figure this out, that when change like rushes into your life like a tornado or like a windstorm, you're like not freaking out. You're like taking it in stride. You're like realizing, okay, this is fine. I can deal with this. I am prepared. I'm prepared. I don't know what's coming. I don't know what's here, but I'm prepared. I am prepared to try to stay calm. I'm prepared to have like multiple perspectives of the situation. I am prepared to be able to flex and make, change in the moment when necessary. I am ready. And so really learning to step outside your comfort zone on your own will really help you adapt to that change that just like kind of just like whooshes into your life all of a sudden. And you're like, dang, okay, we got this. We can figure this out. The fourth benefit, the last one that I want to highlight to you, is stepping outside of your comfort zone helps you build new relationships. Now, I am an introvert. I used to think I was an extrovert when I was like in school, when I was growing up, but I wasn't. I was more of like an introverted extrovert, I think that's how it is. I haven't really studied that a lot. I need to, but I could definitely put on the face. I was playing a part. As you know, a lot of you, I've told you, I'm like a born people pleaser, perfectionist, and I put on the part in the social scene, right? I would put myself out there if I knew that it would end up with something amazing, if it would help me, if I felt like I would be super awkward or left out if I didn't. But I definitely like to be alone. Like, one of my biggest hobbies growing up was reading books and writing stories on my desktop computer. And so I like to be alone, right? Even now, like, I have a few friends and I do some social things, but I like to be alone. I like to just stay home with my family. Again, I like to read books, I like to do podcasts alone. I like to just chill. It's just who I am. So by highlighting that, you are probably like, well, then why the heck would you suggest that we should be building new relationships by stepping out of our comfort zones? Because it's necessary. And sometimes you're not even like looking to build new relationships, and that just happens, and those are beneficial. So for me, the reason why I was able to meet the person that is in charge of the coaching group that I have joined to help me figure out my business is because I decided to step outside of my comfort zone and tell them how much I appreciated like a speaking gig that they did on Clubhouse. And then again, when they did it on Instagram and reaching out and being like, wow, that was really helpful. That's so awesome. And, you know, it was kind of weird for me to do that because I do have a lot of appreciation for people, but I always have this fear, which I need to get over. I think it's important that a lot of us get over it, of, it's okay to like tell people that they're amazing. It's great to give compliments, even if you don't think that they'll ever see it. It's still important to do that. And if you have the desire in your heart to give a compliment to someone online, just do it. Whether they see it or not, it still means something. And so I was kind of like, okay, I'm just going to like tell this person that they are amazing. And then it built a relationship online for like a year. We're talking back and forth and me appreciating their content, them appreciating my content, and then, understanding each other better. And then finally being able to offer me a spot in this with a coach, this opportunity. So it was a relationship that I wasn't like going into trying to build, although there could be relationships like that by stepping outside of our comfort zone and talking to people, and like we're able to build relationships we feel we want to have in our lives, or it'll just happen by accident, which is amazing because you never know what will come out of those relationships. Like me with this person, like I never in a million years a year ago was like, no, I don't need coaching, or I don't really need that, or I'm just gonna like, look up to this person and what they post online, and that's gonna be enough. But sometimes it's not enough, and it became to a point where it was not enough, right? And I was like, wow, I've already developed a relationship with this person. I could talk candidly with them and figure out what I need to do. And it was great. So anyway, I just think it's really helpful. So that's a benefit. So if you are looking for relationships, step out of your comfort zone, or just step out of your comfort zone and be open to new relationships that could happen in your life. Okay, so hopefully some of these benefits have resonated with you, and you are getting more excited about. Sorry, guys, I just accidentally hit something. and you're getting more excited about like creeping out of that comfort zone. I really hope that that's the case because it's such a good and wonderful thing. It's scary. And I definitely am the first part to tell you that it's not going to be easy, but it is worth it. It is 110% worth it. And that's why I continue to push myself to do that. So today I want to share with you how to step outside of your comfort zone. And the steps that I'm going to share with you, the steps that you need to take are based on a very common Venn diagram that displays like the 4 zones many of us are in and the path to go from comfort zone to growth zone. If you don't know what a Venn diagram is, it's generally like one circle, like imagine a circle and then imagine another circle and both circles overlap. They overlap, right? Not completely, but there's so you would see like 2 circles overlapping kind of in the middle of that. And so in the middle, you're comparing things and seeing like where things meet in the middle and then where things are sitting on another side, right? If you don't know what that is, if I described it terribly, I apologize. I would just say type in Venn diagram, like VENN space diagram into Google. It will tell you. It will show you a picture. You'll immediately be like, I know what you're talking about now, Sabrina, because you've seen it. I know you have. But the Venn diagram for this, that is a very common tool to use in teaching comfort zones, is really actually 4 circles, and they're in a horizontal line, and they are overlapping a little bit, kind of, and they're like going from a small circle, which is where you start in your comfort zone, and then there's a bigger one, and then a bigger one, and then a bigger one. Because when you get to your growth zone, it's like you've grown so much, you become bigger, you become more. So that's kind of like the reasoning behind that. Anyway, so that's what like a lot of this is based on. It is amazing, and I wanted to share it with you guys and teach it to you. So we'll go through each zone. There's only 4, again, so that you can discover like the way out from comfort zone to growth zone. But before we jump in, just really quick, please recognize that everyone will move through these zones at different speeds with different difficulties. Okay, so if someone else you know is having trouble and they are working on moving out of their comfort zone to a growth zone, you might not go as fast as them, or they might not go as fast as you, or maybe you go at the same speed at one point and then someone will accelerate ahead or someone will regress back. So I want you to know there is no reason for you to compare your journey to anyone else, and I want you to recognize that, again, it will go at different speeds with different difficulties. Okay? All right, so let's jump in. So the first place where you start, obviously, is in your comfort zone. It's comfy, it's cozy, it's where you like to be. It's easy to be there, right? This zone is where you fester in fear, though. It feels good, but you know it's not enough. Deep in your heart, like real deep down, like maybe you need a shovel to get down there, but you know that it is not where you want to be. It's just easy to be there. It's just easy. But this is where fear festers. You also typically aren't experiencing anything too painful. The caveat is that if you are experiencing something painful, believe me, I understand this growing up, you have grown accustomed to it and it no longer affects you. So it's still easy breezy because you're like, well, it did bother me at one point and now it's just like whatever. It's comfortable. It has moved in and signed the lease to my comfort zone, right? And again, this is like your safe space. You feel good and you know what will and what won't happen, and you feel in control of your life. And if you do struggle with control, which believe me, I am working on that myself, it can be really hard to let that go because you're like, oh, but I am the puppet master. I know everything that's going to happen. I get to make all the choices. I call all the shots. But you have to remember that with that safety, with that comfiness, with that control, there is low risk. And we talked about how important risk is. But with low risk, you have low reward. We all know this. So you're not necessarily going to get anything additional while you're chilling in the comfort zone because there's nothing for you to get. You're not giving anything to get anything. Okay? You're not giving time, energy, learning, education, nothing. You're not giving anything. So you're not going to get anything. If you want more, you'll need to do more. than what's available for you in this zone, the comfort zone. This is where we're starting. This is the starting point. And that's okay. A lot of us start there, but we will learn how to progress. Number two, after you make the decision that you're like, I am going to leave the comfort zone. I have the courage. I have the ability to not let this fear hold me back anymore. But bam, you're like, okay, I don't want it to hold me back. You immediately jump into the fear zone. So this is your first step outside of the comfort zone. This is where you find any excuse you can, believe me, I've been there this past week, to crawl back to that comfort zone because everything is scary and new at the moment. You're overwhelmed. It's too much. It's like, oh, why? Why did I make this decision? Mistakes were made, right? You're like, I'm not going to let that fear overcome me, but then more fear. It seems like your fear grows. Once you're like, I can do this, you like hop out of the comfort zone. You're like, hop out. And then you feel like you just hop into a big puddle that splashes you in of your fear that just like, expanded by 100 times. It just feels that way. And you just want to run away. You still lack confidence when you're in the fear zone because you still aren't sure how things are going to turn out, right? You don't necessarily have that control, that feeling of safety anymore that you had in the comfort zone. Because you just don't know. You don't know how things are going to turn out. But you're still hopeful though. You're hopeful enough to not be in your comfort zone. You're like, okay, well, I've at least moved this far, okay? We've made some progress. I have hope that I can continue making progress. And, you might also change how you feel on a whim because someone starts like judging you and telling you you're making a bad decision or you made a terrible choice. Or someone in your life that you know or you don't know finds out what's going on and they offer you opinions that sound like advice. That sound like advice that you should take. And so you're like, oh, well, maybe I need to change my mind. Maybe this is a bad decision. I need to go back to my comfort zone or I need to keep going ahead. And you don't really know because you're like all in your feelings, right? But you're not really focusing on like what you want and what you need because you're letting these outside voices kind of dictate like where your mind is. So you're in that fear. You're just feeling so scared. But you have to remember that once you make that decision to be brave and step outside of your comfort zone and you're like, enough is enough. We got to move forward. It's going to be worth it. You have to remember, this is your first step in the right direction. It's funny because now I'm like imagining the Venn diagram in my mind. And like when I said like in the right direction, you are moving to the right. Like the more you move to the right, the further away from being in your comfort zone that you are. But this is the first step in the right direction. And if you are able to move forward from here, the likelihood of you reaching growth is exponential. It's a lot higher than you chilling on your couch in the comfort zone, right? So the fear zone, you're assessing the fact that there is fear. You are still scared. You have not gained any extra confidence. You're still a little hopeful, but you're still on shaky ground. But if you're able to continue to cruise through that fear zone of telling yourself, okay, it's going to be 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 worth it. We got to keep going. We just got to see. We got to see what's on the other side. And conquering fear can be really hard, but you have to realize that a lot of times when we build up fear in our mind, it's our minds making it bigger than it is. And if we continue to just find ways to pump in extra courage and be like, okay, well, look, I was able to do this thing. That means I should be able to take one more step forward and then another step forward. It really is like you needing to believe in yourself. And I would say that if you do find it hard to transition out of the fear zone, continuing to move forward, you need to lean on some people that will help to encourage you. They'll help like pump you up and be like, yes, you can do it. Look how far you've come. Look at the first step that you've already taken. This is just the first step of your journey. Don't let any sort of fears or other people's opinions hold you back because, that's just noise. It doesn't matter. They might be jealous of you. They're probably projecting their own problems onto you. You got to keep going. Don't give up. And tell yourself that you are worth it. which is why you are moving forward. So hopefully that'll help you to continue to cruise through from the fear zone to number 3, the learning zone. I like the learning zone. I'm like a lifelong learner. I love it. I love learning about things. That's why I like to learn about things, figure out how to convey them in the best way for people to understand, and then talk about them on my podcast. I'm sure you've gathered that by now. But the next zone is the learning zone. So this is such a sweet spot because your confidence starts to grow again because you're doing new things and you're acquiring new skills and it's making you feel good about yourself. So this is another reason for you to realize, okay, if you're like aware of the zones that you can go to, like these otherworldly places you can go in your mind, and you're like, okay, I just need to get to the learning zone at least. And then it'll be a lot easier for me to get to growth. And it's true, it will. And so if you're already aware of like where you need to go, it's a lot easier to convince yourself and get confidence like, okay, we can make it, let's go. So your confidence starts to grow, you're getting new skills, new abilities, you are just rocking and rolling. You also start to face like new and more challenges in this learning zone and learn how to problem solve. Learning how to problem solve is like chef's kiss, the most incredible thing. Because if you were able to problem solve and not let fear get you down most of the time, you were able to just conquer so many things. You are able to not feel like you need to run away or not continually knocked down by other people's judgments and opinions, right? We're also able to get through struggles that will happen along the way. No matter what, we are all going to go through struggles. Nothing's ever going to be super easy all the time, right? And so being able to problem solve and critically think and be like, okay, like what needs to happen here? Am I seeing the whole perspective? Do I need to like look at this from a different way to figure out what needs to happen for the best outcome that we can get right now? It might not be the perfect outcome, but it'll be the best that you can get. And that's what's important. So the more that you lean into learning and better understanding not only what you're trying to achieve, because generally when you're going from comfort zone to growth, you're trying to achieve some sort of goal or desire. So the more that you lean into learning and better understanding not only what you're trying to achieve, but yourself. Also yourself, the easier it'll be to hit the growth zone and stop looking back and longing for the comfort zone so much. So you're going to learn more about how to achieve your goal and how to move forward. You're also going to learn and better understand yourself in the process. You're going to learn so much about yourself in the learning zone. You think you're going to like wander into the learning zone and just learn about like how to continue to conquer all the struggles that are going to come against you when you're trying to grow and you're trying to move forward in life. But you're also going to understand yourself better because you're going to understand like how you were able to overcome those things, how you were able to problem solve, how you were able to combat other people's judgments and opinions. All of that is super important, uber important. It's amazing. So I don't want you to discount any of that because that's super important too. I talk about self-awareness a lot. It's the key to so many things in your life because the more that you understand how you tick and why you do, the better you're able to like rein in a lot of those feelings and emotions, use them to actually, make yourself even better, even stronger, and not allow your emotions to completely take over you, which will definitely not be using any sort of time or energy efficiently. Then you're able to progress and achieve things quicker, more easily, without so many struggles and setbacks, and also be able to help more people. Hopefully that's your goal as well. So the learning zone. The learning zone is a great place. I would say that if you could at least get to the learning zone, even if it takes you a little bit longer to move from the learning zone to the growth zone, you are doing fantastic. And that's a great place to be. It's a great place to be. Okay, so number 4, the growth zone, the last one. We're going to wrap it up right here. I know we're running a little long, but it's going to be good. It's worth it, right? So the growth zone. When you hit the growth zone, you have arrived. There's a parade. There's a parade. There's people shouting and yelling, and you're like, yay, we have made it. You have arrived. This is where you feel like you have stepped into your purpose and are actually living out your goals and dreams. You've achieved them. You're getting there. You're living it up. It feels so good. It like in this moment that you get to the growth zone, you've grown so much and you're like, it was worth it. They were all right. It's worth it, right? So you need to recognize how far you have come because you come all the way from the comfort zone through fear, through learning, and now you are here. and even how much further you could go if you realize how believing in yourself and moving forward has helped you get to where you are. So not only are you recognizing how far you've come, you can recognize how far you can still go. Because a lot of times I want to make sure that I say this like as much time as I can, many times as I can. Growth, there is no ceiling that you're going to hit. You're going to continue to grow as a person until you leave this earth, okay? You're going to always be growing. There's no limit to growth because we're always changing. We're always moving into different seasons of life. There's always different things that we are worried about and we're dealing with and we're striving for. So it's important for you to realize that there is always opportunity for growth. Even after you feel like you're going to achieve all the goals that you have right now, you will come up with new goals. You will come up with new things that you want to be, have, do, participate in, whatever it is. I promise you. The growth zone, this is also the zone where you start setting new goals and try not to get too comfortable where you are because you don't want the growth zone to turn into the comfort zone. You want to realize, okay, let's start setting new goals. Let's realize, okay, it's like maybe you'll scoot back a little bit to the learning zone because you're like, okay, well, I'm feeling a little bit unsure. Maybe you'll regress a little bit. It's not the end of the world, but you're figuring it out, and you're like taking on those challenges and you are developing those skills and you're like, okay. And that confidence resurfaces and you are back, baby, right? So you're going to start setting new goals. You're going to try not to get comfortable. Because I believe if we stay in at least the learning and the growth zones, like back and forth there, ping pong right there, we can achieve so much, so much. This doesn't mean that fear won't creep in. Absolutely not. It will. There will be times. But remembering how we conquered it in the past will help you push through it in the future. Like the last thing I want to leave you with today is that I want you to remind yourself of what you have gone through and how far you've come. Okay? Even the most smallest things, like maybe you were afraid to speak out in groups, and then you finally got the courage to do so. And that was met with happiness and excitement and appreciation. So you continue to do it. Sometimes there's not going to be appreciation. Sometimes people are going to try to get down on you. You got to be able to appreciate yourself in that moment so that you can continue to move forward. So even the smallest things that you're like scared about, you don't want to do, you're scared about it, but you continue to push yourself to learn more about it, to how to figure out how to achieve it even more. And then you get to the point where you're doing it and you did it and you've grown. It's so worth it. But you have to remind yourself, oh, I went through this thing. It's not directly related at all whatsoever, but I was able to persevere through it. That shows me I have strength and confidence. That means I can persevere through this thing too. So I'm going to end it there because I know that I'm talking a lot, but this was so important because I feel like a lot of us live our lives in the comfort zone when there is so much more potential out there for us that we just need to step out and take it. So thank you so much for listening to the Real Positive Girl podcast. Again, with me, Sabrina. I appreciate you guys being here, listening, downloading, and sharing the show. Again, check the show notes below for how to reach me on Instagram, how to send me an email, visiting my website, and getting in touch with me because I will be looking for those messages. I was like, notes, messages, and I can't wait to get back to you. But until next time, have a good one, and I will see you guys next time. Bye, everyone.